The ocean was breathing slowly tonight. Each wave came in like a soft sigh, touching the sand and then gently letting go. Palm trees whispered above, moving just enough to remind the world that nothing ever needs to rush. You arrived at the tropical retreat just as the sky was turning from gold to deep blue. The air smelled like salt, flowers, and warm wind. No phones ringing, no clocks shouting the time, only nature, moving at its own quiet pace. Your small wooden cottage waited near the shore, lit by a single lantern that glowed like a calm heart in the dark. Inside, everything was simple. A soft bed, light curtains, and the sound of water never far away. This place was not made for thinking too much. It was made for letting go. As you sat near the open window, the breeze touched your skin like a kind hand saying, "You're safe now." Every worry you carried, heavy thoughts, tired memories, long days began to feel out of place here. They didn't belong in a land where even the stars looked relaxed. The ocean kept speaking. In its slow language, "Come in, let go. Rest." You closed your eyes and imagined placing each worry into a small leaf boat and setting it gently onto the water. One by one, they floated away, becoming smaller, quieter. Lighter, your shoulders softened, your breath slowed, your heart remembered how to be still. Tonight, nothing needs to be fixed. Nothing needs to be proven. Nothing needs to be chased. Tonight, you are only here under warm air, beside a patient sea. Inside a moment that asks nothing from you except rest. And as the waves continue their soft rhythm, sleep begins to walk toward you. Slowly, kindly. Just like everything else in this peaceful, tropical night, the boat moved slowly across the quiet water, leaving a thin silver line behind it as the moon reflected on the sea. The engine was soft, almost whispering, as if it didn't want to disturb. The night, you sat near the edge, feet resting close to the wooden floor, feeling the gentle rocking that made your body sway without effort. This was the first night of your retreat. No plans, no meetings, no noise that didn't belong to nature. Ahead, a small island appeared like a dark shape floating on light. Palm trees stood tall against the sky, their long leaves moving slowly in the wind. Tiny lights glowed near the shore, guiding the boat like calm stars that had fallen to the ground. As the boat touched the dock, someone waved quietly from the end. A woman with kind eyes and slow movements helped you step onto the wood. "Welcome," she said softly. "We speak gently." Here you smiled, already feeling lighter. A short path led through warm sand and soft grass. Small lanterns lined the way, their light dancing gently. You could hear the ocean on one side and the quiet jungle on the other. Everything seemed balanced, sound and silence, light and dark. Your cottage waited near the water. It was simple and beautiful, made of wood, with wide windows and white curtains that moved with the breeze. Inside, the bed looked like a cloud waiting for you. A bowl of fresh fruit sat on a small table, and a note rested beside it. It read, "Here, you don't carry yesterday. You don't chase tomorrow. You rest in now." You placed your bag down and sat on the bed. For a moment, you just breathed. Deep in, slow out. Outside waves touched the shore again and again, like a calm heartbeat. Later, you stepped onto the small porch. The sand felt warm, even at night. The sky was full of stars and the moon hung low, painting silver paths across the water. A few other guests sat nearby, each in their own quiet world. No one talked much. Smiles were enough. A man with gray hair and gentle eyes sat near you. "First time?" he asked. You nodded. He smiled. "This place teaches you something simple, how to stop holding." "Stop holding what?" you asked. "Everything," he said and looked back at the sea. Those words stayed with you. That night, you lay in bed listening to the ocean. Your thoughts tried to follow their old paths, worries, plans, small fears, but the sound of waves slowly washed them softer. You imagined each thought as a stone in your hand. One by one, you dropped them into the sea. Splash, and gone. Your breathing slowed. Your body grew heavy and warm. Sleep came easily. Morning came with the sound of water and birds. Not loud, not demanding. just enough to remind you that the world was awake and happy to wait for you. You opened your eyes slowly. Light moved gently through the curtains, touching the walls like soft fingers. For a moment, you forgot where you were. The sea, steady and patient, and you remembered the island, the retreat, the promise to let go. You stayed in bed a little longer, listening. Each wave felt like a breath. In, out, in, out. Without trying, your own breathing followed the same rhythm. When you finally stood, your body felt lighter than it had in a long time. It's not because nothing had ever hurt you, but because, for once, you weren't carrying everything at the same time. Outside, the path was bright with morning. Dew rested on leaves like tiny, clear jewels. The air smelled fresh, clean, and kind. Breakfast waited in the open space again.
Warm bread.
Fruit, tea, and silence. The good kind. The gray-haired man was there, smiling softly. "You slept well?" he said. You nodded. "I didn't dream," you said. He chuckled. "That means your mind is resting too." After breakfast, the woman with calm eyes rang the bell again today. She said, "We learned to listen." She led everyone toward the beach. The sand was cool, the water slow. She asked everyone to sit in a wide circle facing the sea. "Close your eyes," she said. "Don't try to hear. Just allow sound to come." At first, you heard many things. Waves, birds, wind, breathing, small movements. Your mind tried to name them, to organize them. Then slowly you stopped naming. Sound became one long, gentle song. "In no beginning, end. You don't need to understand everything," she whispered. "You only need to be here." Something inside. You loosened. Later, you walked alone along the shore. The water touched your feet, then moved away again and again. You thought of how many times you had held on to things long after they had finished teaching you anything. You bent down and picked up a small shell, smooth, light. You thought of something you were still holding, a memory that kept asking to be replayed. You placed the shell into the water and watched it disappear under a wave. It didn't fight. It didn't explain. It simply went. In the afternoon, clouds gathered again. Soft rain began to fall. You sat under the palm leaf roof, watching drops touch the sand, leaving small dark circles that slowly faded. Each circle reminded you of a thought, strong when it arrives, gone when you don't hold it. The gray-haired man joined you. "Rain teaches well," he said. "How?" you asked. "It never keeps what it touches," he replied. That evening there was no fire, only lanterns and stars. The woman spoke softly. "Tonight, don't release with fire. Release with breath." I asked everyone to lie down on mats near. The sky was wide. The stars looked close enough to listen. "Breathe in," she said. "Breathe out and let something go." Each breath out, you imagined something leaving. A heavy word, a tired feeling, an old fear. Your body grew warm. Chest grew open. You realized you didn't need to fight your thoughts. You just needed to stop holding them. That night, in your cottage, you dreamed softly. You dreamed of walking through water that carried you without effort. You dreamed of hands opening. You dreamed of nothing heavy. When you woke in the middle of the night, rain was falling lightly again. You didn't move. You didn't think. You just listened until sleep returned. The next day was slower. No schedule. No bell. You wandered through trees, touching leaves, feeling bark, watching insects move with quiet purpose. You realized something. Everything here moved without forcing. Nothing rushed. Nothing argued with time. You sat near a stream and watched water slide over stones. Each stone stayed. Each wave moved. Neither complained. You thought, maybe peace is not about changing who you are. Maybe it is about letting life move through you without stopping it. In the afternoon, you wrote in a small notebook they had given you, "I am learning." That holding hurts more than letting go. That evening, clouds cleared and the moon rose bright. You walked to the shore again. The gray-haired man stood there. "You look different," he said. "How?" you asked. "Like someone who is not trying so hard anymore?" He smiled. You looked at the water. "I didn't know how tired I was," you said. He nodded. Most people don't. They only know when they stop. That night, back in bed, you listened to the ocean. You didn't ask for sleep. You didn't chase it. You simply rested. And sleep found you. Slowly. Kindly. Without effort. And somewhere between waves and breath, you understood something simple. You don't have to carry everything to be strong. Sometimes being strong means putting things down. The morning light felt warmer today, as if the sun had learned your name. It touched your curtains gently, not to wake you, but to remind you that the world was ready whenever you were. You opened. Your eyes slowly and stayed still. The sea was calm, breathing in its endless rhythm. Your body felt rested, not just from sleep, but from something deeper. From days of not rushing. From hours of not proving anything, you sat up and noticed how quiet your thoughts were. They were still there, but softer, like birds sitting instead of flying. Outside, the island looked peaceful. The sky was pale blue, the trees fresh, the air light. You walked barefoot to the open space for breakfast. People smiled easily now, like they were remembering how to be gentle with themselves. The woman with calm eyes greeted you. Today, she said, we practiced trust. Trust what? Someone asked. Life, she replied. After breakfast, she led everyone into the trees again. The path twisted gently. Sunlight moved across the ground like slow water. She stopped near a large tree with wide roots. Sit. Shh. Everyone sat in a circle around the tree. Close. Your eyes, she said. Feel the ground. It holds you without asking who you are. You closed your eyes. You felt the earth under you. Firm, quiet, steady. Trust it. She whispered. You realized how often you held your body tight as if afraid of falling, even when you were safe. Slowly, you let your shoulders drop. You let your jaw relax. You let the ground do its work. Later, you walked alone again. You noticed small things now. How leaves shook when birds landed. How insects moved without worry. How light changed every minute. Nothing stayed the same, and nothing was afraid. Of changing, you found a quiet place near the water. Sat. You thought about how much of your life had been spent trying to control what could not be controlled. People, time, outcomes. You realized how heavy that had been. A wave came and touched your feet. Then another you didn't pull away. In the afternoon, you joined a small group for tea. No one spoke much, but when they did, their voices were slower, kinder. A woman said, I used to think resting was lazy. The gray-haired man smiled.
Resting
is listening. He felt that was true. That evening, clouds gathered again, but no rain came. No. The air felt full, like it was holding a story. Everyone gathered near the shore. The woman said, Tonight we let go of control. She asked everyone to think of something they had tried to force. You thought of moments when you had pushed. Too hard for love, for answers, for things that were not ready. She asked everyone to pick up a stone. You chose one that fit your hand well. Hold it, she said. Feel its weight. This is control. Your hand felt heavy. Now, she said, place it down. You placed the stone on the sand. Your hand felt light. See the difference? She asked. You nodded. Later, under the stars, you lay in bed listening. To the sea, you didn't plan tomorrow. You didn't review yesterday. You simply were. Sleep came like a friend who didn't need to knock. In your dreams, you saw yourself standing in water again, but this time, you didn't try to walk. You let the water move you. When you woke in the night, you felt calm. You didn't wonder why. You didn't question it. You just rested. The next day, you noticed how easily you smiled. Not because everything was perfect, but because you weren't fighting everything anymore. You walked through the trees and thought, letting go is not forgetting. Letting go is trusting that you don't have to hold everything for it to exist. That afternoon, you wrote in your notebook, I am learning to live without gripping. That night, the ocean was loud, but it didn't disturb you. You realized something. Gentle and strong at the same time, peace is not quiet outside. Peace is quiet inside, even when the world is moving. And as waves spoke their endless song, you closed your eyes and drifted into deep, easy sleep, knowing that you were finally learning how to let life carry you instead of trying to carry it yourself. The final morning at the retreat arrived without announcing itself. No bell, no voice, no hurry. Just light, warm, and slow. Finding its way through the curtains, you opened your eyes and felt something new. Not excitement, not sadness, but readiness. A quiet knowing that something inside you had shifted, and it would not shift back. You stayed in bed, listening to the sea one more time. Its rhythm no longer felt outside of you, felt like your own breath. You sat up and noticed how natural your movements were. No stiffness, no rush. Your body trusted the day. Outside, the island was glowing. Trees moved gently. Birds spoke softly. The air felt full, like it was smiling. You walked to breakfast. People greeted each other with easy eyes. No one needed to explain themselves anymore. The woman with calm eyes smiled at you. Today, she said, we practice carrying peace back with us. After breakfast, everyone gathered near the large tree again. Close your eyes, she said. Place you are standing in. Then feel the place inside you. You closed your eyes, you felt your feet, and you felt your chest. You felt the space where worry used to sit. This place inside you, she said, does not belong to this island. It belongs to you. You understood. Peace was not a gift the retreat gave you. It was something you remembered. Later you walked, alone along the shore one last time. You thanked the sea without speaking. You thanked the trees without touching. You thanked the quiet without naming it. You realized that leaving did not mean losing. You packed slowly. Each item felt lighter than when you arrived, not because the bag changed, but because you did. At the dock, the boat waited. The gray-haired man stood beside you. You're ready, he said. For what? You asked. For noise, he smiled. But now you know how to find quiet inside it. You stepped onto the boat. As the island moved farther away, you didn't feel empty. You felt full of something soft and steady. On the ride back, you closed your eyes. You imagined future days, busy days, loud days, hard days, and you imagined yourself breathing through them, not holding them. You imagined placing worries. Down the way you placed stones in the sand, you imagined choosing rest even when the world did not. When you arrived back in the world, nothing looked different, but everything felt different. Cars moved fast. Voices were loud. Time was sharp, but you were not. You walked slowly. You breathed fully. You listened more than you spoke. Days passed. You returned to work, to family, to responsibility, but not to the old way of carrying them. When stress came, you did not fight it. You breathed. When worry came, you did not chase it. You let it pass. When noise came, you did not become noise. It became space. At night, you lay in bed and listened, sometimes to rain, sometimes to wind, sometimes to wind, sometimes to your own breath. You no longer asked sleep to come. You welcomed it. You learned something lasting. Letting go is not a moment. It is a way of walking, and wherever you go, city, room, crowd, or silence, you carry your retreat inside you. One night, long after the island was only a memory, you dreamed of the sea again. But this time, you were not visiting it. You were. It calmed, deep. It's always moving without holding. You woke with a smile. Not because life was easy, but because you were. Time moved differently now. Not slower, just kinder. You no longer counted days the way you used to. You felt them. Each morning arrived like a soft invitation instead of a demand. You woke before your alarm sometimes, not because you were anxious, but because your body was rested. You stayed in bed for a few moments, breathing, feeling the quiet you had learned. To carry Dot outside, the world still rushed buses, phones, voices, plans, but inside, you walked at your own pace. At work, you noticed how people moved quickly, like they were chasing something invisible. You didn't judge them, you understood. Them because you used to run too. When pressure came, you paused, just one breath longer than before. And that breath made space. You began listening differently, not to reply, not to fix, Just to hear. People noticed. You're calmer. Someone said, you smiled. I learned how to put things down. Sometimes old habits tried to return. Tight shoulders, fast thoughts. Heavy days, but now you recognize them early. Like clouds you could see before the storm. When that happened, you closed your eyes for a moment and remembered the sea, the trees, quiet. Not to escape, but to return. Evenings became gentle again. You made small rituals, warm tea, slow music, soft light. You stopped filling every moment with sound. You let silence speak. At night you lay in bed and listened to your breath like you once listened to waves in, out. Slow and steady, sleep came easily now. It's not because life was perfect, but because you were not fighting it anymore. Dreams changed too. They became softer, less loud, less heavy. Sometimes you've dreamed of walking, not toward something, but with something. Peace walked beside you one day. You realized something beautiful. You no longer waited for vacations to rest. You rested inside. Your days, you no longer waited for silence to be happy. You carried quiet inside noise. You no longer waited for the world to change. You changed the way you met it, and that was enough. Years from now, you may forget the exact shape of the island. You may forget the faces, the paths, the sounds, but you will never forget what it taught you, that letting go is not losing. It is finally being free enough to hold only what matters. And every night when you close your eyes, you return not to a place on a map, but to the calm you learned to become now. As your eyes grow heavy and your breath becomes slow and gentle, remember this feeling. This quiet space inside you is always here. You don't need to travel far to find peace. You don't need to wait for the perfect time. You only need to pause and return to yourself. Tonight, make a small promise not to change everything, but to change one moment. When you wake up tomorrow, don't reach for worry first. Reach for breath. Take one slow breath before you stand. Let that breath remind you that you are alive, safe, and allowed to move gently through your day. When stress comes, and it will, don't fight it. Fighting makes it louder. Instead, notice it like a passing cloud. Breathe and let it move on. Before sleep each night, create a small ritual. Dim the lights. Put your phone away. Place one hand on your chest and one on your stomach. Feel your breath move. Thank yourself for getting through the day, even if it wasn't perfect. And if your mind feels heavy, remember the ocean.
Remember
the trees. Remember the quiet you learned. Even if you've never seen that island, your body knows how Piak